Cam Jordan talks about his NFL Combine experience, the great Cam Jordan. This is from New Orleans Saints' very own YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and listen to Cam.
Here at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, I'm Erin Summers alongside Saints defensive end Cam Jordan.
Yes, Cam wearing a very nice depiction of what my great-grandmother's couch looked like when I was growing up. The only difference would be his jacket should be laminated in plastic, but love the colors, love the texture, love the graphical design. I'm now seeing there's a little chain link in there. So there's a chain link fence that was not present on the couch. Couch was basically just florals like that. I need to get me one of those jackets.
Does this take you back to when you were here?
No, it does not.
No?
There's nothing about this that makes me want to come back to 2011 right here at the Combine where, coaches probe you and ask you weird questions that don't really pertain to football.
Yeah, Combine's kind of weird. So the Combine, it's a double-edged sword because part of it for sure makes sense, right? Like if you're a coach drafting a college prospect, you definitely want to see them play. You want to see them throw, catch, run, do all that. But then there's parts of the Combine that make absolutely no sense at all. Like the Wonderlic, at one point it was basically like a 13-question test. The questions were like, if you were on a deserted island, what color lizard would you want to be? Like just random questions like that. And they would somehow spit out a score. You would think they would just use their college GPA if they wanted to know kind of their, deducing skills or whatever. I'm not even sure why that would matter. But even things like the vertical jump, making quarterbacks do the vertical. Why? It's a lot of it. I think now is for show. I think a lot of it now is the NFL. This is the NFL's way of extending their season, their media season. The NFL doesn't want to just keep this behind closed doors. They don't want to just go from the season to, hey, we'll see you next time. The NFL has found a way to brand and make things like the Combine, the draft, huge moments, huge deals, huge parts of the season. So for the NFL, it makes a lot of sense, but how practical is the Combine? Yeah, I'm not totally sure about that. Like hand size for quarterbacks, I've always thought that was kind of weird, like measuring hand size and things like that. So,
But they're trying to gauge your mindset and mentality?
Yeah.
It was a time, and I've forgotten about it.
What would be a question that you would ask if you were on the other side?
I'd want to know, how involved are they in their communities? That would be the adult me now.
Well, that's kind of unfair too. It's kind of unfair. I understand where the question comes from. I'm not saying it's a bad question, but to ask a 21-year-old kid who's in college trying to, at that point in their lives, I'm sure is wholly focused on football. How involved are you in your community? They probably don't have the opportunity to be involved in their community. It's very, very difficult for a college student, especially a college student who's dedicating as much time as I'm sure these prospects are to football, to also be a, volunteer in the community. And a lot of them are spending a lot of time in places that aren't their community, right? Some kids are from Florida who are going to school in USC. They're not part of Los Angeles. They're not part of that community. So that's a good example of how they're trying to make a lot out of these prospects, but at the end of the day, they're 20 to 22-year-old kids who are trying to be good at football. They're not trying to also be president of the United States.
Take myself back a couple of years. I want to know, what is it that coaches actually gain from asking random questions that don't amount to anything pertaining to football?
You're going to be here.
See, I've heard coaches can't do this anymore, but they used to ask really invasive questions. They used to ask very personal questions. And I've heard coaches say that they didn't really care about the answer. They cared about how the prospect handled the moment, like how they handled the pressure or how they handled a negative question or how they handled a not very, not enjoyable experience. Like they wanted to see in real time how it happened. Were they volatile? Were they calm? Were they cool, collected? Did they go pop off? Like what was the experience like? So I have heard when it comes to some of those weird questions, it's more about how the prospect felt or how they seemed to feel about the experience versus what the actual answer was.
You're a part of the NFL Network coverage down there on the field.
Well,
what are you looking for?
My next D tackle. But that's just me. Again, being biased here. I feel like if we draft another D tackle, then we have to, probably not a next D tackle, a first or second rounder, which means we probably have to put him on the field next year, which means then we have a fourth.
Cam caught himself there, because when he first said our next D tackle, I was like, man, God bless. If you're one of the defensive tackles from the Saints, you got to be feeling pretty bad about that. I mean, man, like, could you imagine if this was Alvin Kamara and they asked Alvin Kamara what you're looking for and he said our next quarterback? That would be headline news. People would be like, whoa, Alvin Kamara is already looking past Derek Carr. Whoa, Alvin Kamara already wants the next Saints quarterback. So it took Cam a second there, but Cam caught himself saying, like, and maybe that was a Freudian slip. Maybe he does think the Saints need to find more impact to the defensive tackle position. But now I'll tell you this, Cam. A lot of people, including me, are hoping the Saints draft an edge rusher in the first round at 14. So that's something else. That's something he might be looking at.
3 on fourth down or third down, and I could get excited about that one. You know, we add in Peyton Turner and we add myself in and Carl Granderson. Then we just run a 5-1 something. You know, it'd be 5 D linemen down, DeMario blitzing,
the old 5-1-5,
and have our secondary doing what they do.
The 1-5.
That's your ideal look for the defense there.
It's my dream look. I don't know if it's ideal. I don't know how successful and or not so successful it could be.
What are you looking forward to as a whole for the season upcoming?
Ooh. Good question. So I wasn't expecting that, even though I should have. It's in the title. That's on me. I thought this was going to be mostly about the combine, but great question there. What are we looking forward to? So Cam's on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of the changes we've seen coaching-wise is from the offensive side. You know, bringing in Kubiak and this whole new group of offensive coaches. So let's see what Cam says.
I mean, come on. If we're talking about what am I looking forward to, Derek Carr being with the Saints for the second year, that's normally where you see his biggest leaps. I love the idea that we have potential, but I hate the idea that we have potential as well. I don't want potential. I want realized gains.
How do you?
Wow, that was, okay. Well, Erin didn't know what to do with that. That was some heavy silence right there. Heavy eye contact, heavy silence. That was a shocking moment.
You get that?
I'm trying to figure that out. If I had that answer, I'd have multiple Super Bowl rings. But that's the idea. We're in the hunt, and it starts April. What is that? 13th with voluntary workouts, and we'll move on from there. I'd love to see everybody show up. I'd love to see all full participation, and that's where our camaraderie starts. It's not so much the workouts, it's not the grind, it's the ability to be around each other, familiarize yourselves with your teammates. Of course, I'm always going to be around my D-line.
Controversial back here. We got the all denim. I don't know if y'all can see that. The guy wearing the all denim suit walking past Cam. Controversial always to go denim on denim.
Some way, somehow. But just going on and building that brotherhood, because when you trust somebody, you push yourself that much harder to go even deeper, hopefully, into the playoffs this year.
If you had an opportunity to talk to some of the players here, what would you tell them about the Saints to try to?
I'll have plenty of opportunities, and it's the same idea. You know, if you get a call from the Saints, pick up. That being said, we're in a win now mentality, as well as even just the kids that are here. You know, first of all, it's an honor to be here. There's 300 kids that get invited here. I don't know how many D1, D2, D3 schools, NIAIs there are, but there's probably in the tens of thousands of kids that play football a year that don't have this opportunity.
I mean, I think Cam is in an interesting position because Cam is a veteran. Cam is probably going to end his career with the Saints, I would think, unless it's some weird, 1 year somewhere else. I'm not sure why he would do that. But Cam is in a win-now mentality. And I think a lot of people wonder, are the Saints in a win-now mentality? What does the window look like? Some people think the Saints are possibly in a rebuild or possibly in a reset of the salary cap. But the way that the roster is built, the way that the players, the age, and the contracts all kind of line up, I think the Saints, and this is strictly me, I think the Saints believe they have a 2.5 year window to where they're going to try and win. The combination of Carr, Kamara, Cam, Lattimore, all those guys, DeMario Davis, that combination, I believe, is the core window. That's what Mickey Loomis and the Saints believe is their core. Over the next couple of years, they're going to try and add. They're going to try and add, some impact rookies or veteran free agents or whatever. But I think they think that group is good enough to win, and they're going to do everything they can to win. Then, once we see all at the same time, probably Taysom, Carr, Kamara, Lattimore, Davis, Jordan, all those guys kind of go and move on, that's when I think they'll reset the cap. that's when I think all those contracts will be gone. All those contracts will either be hitting the dead cap, or we'll be moving it around. But that's when we'll see this big shift. So it's all of them are kind of the same age. All of them are kind of at the same points of their career. Even someone like Kamara. Kamara is 28, but for a running back, he's probably got two, 3 maybe years of really, really good football left, right? You could say that about almost every guy I listed. Demario Davis playing at an insanely high level. Do I expect him to do that for another 5 years? No. If you ask me how many more years do I think Demario Davis can be a top 5 linebacker in the NFL, I would say I'm pretty confident he could do that for 2-3 years. And I'd say that about a lot of these guys. I'd say, yeah, probably 2-3 more years. How long do I think Cam Jordan will be with the Saints? Probably 2-3 more years. 5 years? No. 1 year? No. Somewhere in between, right? So same with Derek Carr. We already know the answer to that one. The answer to Derek Carr, how long will he be with the Saints? 2 or 3 more seasons. Taysom Hill, he's 33. Will he be here when he's 36? No. Is he going to retire next year? Probably not. 2-3 years. It's all lining up like that. All the contracts, all the money. I think that's Loomis's plan, which if you're a Saints fan, probably good to hear. Because now it means, okay, for 2.5, 3 seasons, somewhere in there, we're going to make moves to try and win. We'll slowly bring in players. We'll slowly start trying to kind of get that next wave ready. And hopefully we do hit that draft class with the next Michael Thomas, the next Alvin Kamara, the next Marshawn Lattimore, the next Chris Olave. Hopefully we do that in the next couple of years. And it starts with this draft. That's why I've been so harping on the importance of this draft. Because just like with Breeze, with Breeze and all of them, that time was kind of coming to an end. And then what happened? There was an interjection of all this youth talent. The Kamaras, the Marshawn Lattimore, the Michael Thomas, the Mark Ingram. All that happened. And what did it do? It extended that window. It extended that window with Breeze and has kept the Saints afloat after Breeze and Peyton. So it is, because we have not had that class, we have not had anything close to that in recent seasons. We've had nothing but busts, right? Trevor Penning, Peyton Turner, Marcus Davenport, Isaiah Foskey. You know how it is. We have not found that young impact player again. And will they all, are they guaranteed busts? No, but they're not making that impact that the Kamara draft class did. So we have to find that to extend the window and get ready for the next chapter of the New Orleans Saints franchise history.
So you figure your childhood dream is to be in the NFL, and this is one of the last steps that you have before the draft. So go out there and enjoy each and every moment, give it your best, and leave it all on the field. I mean, if your film hasn't done the talking for you, then it's not like this will do the talking for you. So this is just a cherry on the ice cream.
What's your favorite event?
Now, that's almost not true, because some players, their draft, their combine or their pro day or their workouts do elevate them dramatically. If they're showing something elite, like Anthony Richardson, what he showed at his workouts was enough to where I think teams cared about that more than the game tape. And other players are the opposite, right? Other players have a ton of game tape, like Bo Nix. Bo Nix has played in college for 6 years? So I'm sure all the game tape they need is there on Bo Nix. They probably want to see him throw the ball. They want to see how the ball comes out of his hands, talk to him, get a sense of his personality. But as far as like the actual tape, he probably has enough to where it mattered, or it doesn't matter what he does at the combine. J.J. McCarthy, the opposite. J.J. McCarthy doesn't have a lot of tape. Even the games he played in, sometimes he'd throw for 120 yards. He'd throw the ball 8 times, right? So watching him, teams will probably be more interested in watching someone like J.J. McCarthy than they are watching Bo Nix.
I mean, I feel like everybody's is the 40, right? Because you can be like, oh, he's so fast. I mean, the combine, again, is just numbers. I want to see your game film. I want to know if you're a dog or not. But this gets, the analytics talking.
This gets the ratings. That's really what it is. I saw something on Twitter the other day. It was defensive ends. It was like Jared Verse, Dallas Turner, and maybe Latu. But it was their 40 times. And the numbers are cool. They're like, oh, man, he runs a 4, 5, 6. He's flying. This guy, he's really moving. But then you think, like, when the hell are they going to be running 40 yards? Like, in what universe? Why would Jared Verse ever be sprinting straight ahead at 40 yards in a row? I'd much rather see how their game tape is. I'd much rather see their speed or whatever around the edge in a game. Like the 40, it really is like things like the 40, the bench press, all of those numbers are strictly for the fans. I mean, I'm sure some teams do put stock into it, but I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if any true like scouting department really cares that much about what some left guard's 40 is. What a defensive end's 40 is. Even a wide receiver. Like a wide receiver, if a wide receiver's fast. A wide receiver being able to also sprint like at 40 yards straight ahead, like does that really matter that much? Not really. I just saw a comparison between Ladd McConkey and Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown ran like a 4.56 or something like that at his combine. Would you have guessed that? I wouldn't have. I would have thought Antonio Brown, I remember him as being a very shifty, fast receiver. But 4.56 at the combine sounds pretty slow, right? So that just kind of goes to show you where that stuff can get lost because your speed getting separation, or your speed in a route, or your speed on the field, even running backs. Some running backs run faster than they seem. Some running backs run slower than they seem. It doesn't equate perfectly to where, a super fast receiver will be super fast in their routes or will be super fast on the field. And does that speed even translate? If they can't get separation, or if they can't catch, or if they can't run routes, they don't run crisp routes, does the speed matter? I don't know.
It's the numbers guys talking. If you see a DB run sub 4.3, you think he can keep up with everybody. If you see a nose tackle run sub 5, over 340 pounds, you probably start drooling like, oh, that big guy can move. I'm all about game film.
Yeah.
But this is the finishing of the show, the finale, if you will.
And we're not going to see you out there running any drills?
No, I'd hope not. But I mean, I don't think I'm in the right footwear for it. I got heat on my feet and not the cleats on the feet. So
yeah, I mean, if I was in a front office, I would focus almost entirely on game film. If I was interested in drafting a wide receiver, I would watch every single pass thrown to that receiver multiple times on his game film. I'd watch that on repeat. I'd be breaking that down way before I watched him run the 40 or watched him run the shuttle or looked at his hand size or something. So I'm with Cam. I'd be much more of a game film kind of fella versus what his numbers are at the combine.
All right. Thanks for
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts on the combine? Thoughts on Cam's jacket? Thoughts on some of the answers? Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.